Okay, so one night in Mexico, we just pulled into Mexico in Carbo, and it was really hot, and we didn't want to like sleep inside those bedrooms, so we slept on the bus. And it was still really hot on the bus, so I couldn't sleep. And all the girls just were asking questions about everything, and they asked me what I do for a living, and I told them I'm a process engineer. Cool title, by the way, Paul.
You deserve it.
And so they're like, cool, what is that? They were all really like, wow, like so excited about the title. They thought I'd like, do something huge and stuff, and I'm like, I do. I'm like, so I work in a warehouse, and there's like, we do lean. I'm like, have you guys ever heard of lean? And they're like, no. And so I'm like, with this title comes a lot of explanation. I'm like, so I start explaining to them like what lean is, and there's this one girl, and like for the rest of the trip, she was just like, Masha, tell me more about lean. I'm so interested. She was like all over, and she's like 16.
Wow.
And she's like, that is so interesting. And then later on, like whatever we were doing, like, because we had kitchen duty and everything, and she would be like, Mosh, check this out. This is a waist here. If we move it here. And she was like doing lean on the mission.
Get out of here.
I'm not lying.
And she's never heard of it before.
No. And she's like, I'm gonna be coming to your area to live with my cousins for like the summer. And she's like, I'll be working on a berry farm. I'm like, well, man, like if you're this interested in lean,
you're gonna kill it.
Who knows? Like you could do anything.
Now you were saying too, it's interesting, Masha. You said, I work in a warehouse where there's all these processes. Mm-hmm. Then you were saying, go ahead.
So I told them, I was like, I work in a warehouse where there's a process for everything that you do. And when you walk up, the reason we're called process engineers is because you walk up and you're focusing on the process the entire time that you're building the product, and you have to improve at all times, and you have to see the waste. And then they're like, what waste? And so I'm like, actually there's 8 wastes. And so I start going through them, and all these girls are like, wow, can you give us an example of how this is a waste? And I'm like, well, if you're doing this and it's behind you, I'm like, you're wasting motion. I'm like, you keep doing this, you just move it here, and then look, your hands are right here, and you could do it so much faster. So I had to explain to them that when you're improving something, that it has to be faster, safer, simpler, or better in quality. And they're just like all ears, and they wouldn't let me go to bed. Like I was just awake the whole time, kind of like everybody's laying in their own seat, and I'm just like telling them a bedtime story that wouldn't put them to bed. Especially there's this one girl who just kept like asking for more about lean, and she's just like, what about this? And I didn't even have a chance to finish everything. Like there was so much in lean, and like how much you can get into it, and like I didn't even realize I knew that much until like all these girls like, we never heard of this, and I'm like, yeah, well, there's a lot.
So by you teaching it, you realize how much you know. Yeah. And where before you maybe didn't think about, you know a lot.
Yeah, and like over there, like in the kitchen, anything you're doing, I'm like, you guys, let's just clean up right away as we go. I'm like, let's leave it better than we found it. I'm like, you do something and there's a dish, you just wash it. I'm like, it's not that hard. It's fresh. It's not even crusty yet. You don't have to scrub.
Right.
Like, just wash it out. It's gonna be so much easier.
Just in time, flow.
And I was like, instead of later over processing, you're gonna have to soak it. You're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to scrub with
doing batch work.
Yeah. So I was like, let's just keep going through. And they kept putting me in the kitchen as like a leader.
As a process engineer.
Yeah. And just Angela, that one 16-year-old, she's just like on fire for lean. She's just like, and she's never heard of it. She just kept running up and like, oh, Mosh, check this out. Look at what we could do here, and like she was awesome. And she lives in Federal Way, and her cousins live where we live, and she comes every summer to do berry work and stuff. And so I was like, come in and check out FastCap. You could just take a look at how lean works. And I'm like, I'm sure we can arrange something. I can't even show you myself. We don't have to do anything formal. And so she's just like,
I want you to do that. That would be great.
She is like crazy about lean. And she only heard like, I don't know, half an hour of what I could tell them. And like I was jumping from from different things. I'm like, oh, and like when you're talking, I'm like, there's like get your boots on. Or get your gambutsu or whatever.
Yeah, get your gambutsu.
Yeah, so I was like, if you're not understanding what someone's explaining, you take them there and you show them how it works, and you have them experience what you do so that they can actually understand fully what exactly you're talking about, and then they can help you directly. They're not going to have to like give you some sort of information on the side, and you're just kind of trying to figure it out.
They're seeing what's really happening.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, and it's surprising. On a missionary trip, I didn't think I'd be using anything from work, but in the end, you're just kind of like, hey guys, that's a waste. Let's do this, and all the time you just keep using it, and it's just outside of work, and you expect it to be like something like just like a break from work, but you're like, in the end, you're like, this is gonna work so much better. Like, why would I take a break from lean? Like, there's so much improving, even though it's like just your daily life. You're just kind of going and you're making improvements as you go, and it's pretty awesome.
So it's not something you do at work, you do it everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
and you
always
don't even
thinking that.
realize it until all these girls start asking you questions like, hey, why are you doing it like that? Like, what is that, you know? And I'm like, well, this is what we do at work. And like, just so many different things. Like even setting up the equipment for like microphones and the sound system, like the guys, you just kind of like, hey guys, why don't we pack it like this? Because that way it's all together, you know? And I mean, I didn't
So
really...
you were just thinking it all the time.
Yeah, you don't even realize that your brain is lean.
How long have you worked here?
Almost a year in August.
Not even a year. You're like a lean consultant. You're so good at this.
It's so easy to understand, like that for me. It's like, why doesn't everybody do it? Like when you read off the waste, so that's
Right.
where it all begins. Like you just know what the waste is, and as soon as you see it, you start to apply the principles and improving things by like using the faster, safer, simpler, and better in quality, and just so much like different things, and you end up like applying it everywhere. Like it's pretty awesome. I didn't even know
I think what you're saying is, you know, we took a couple fundamental things and we taught it to you very effectively. Like we taught you the 8 ways, you have to do that every day.
Yeah.
We taught you faster, safer, simpler, and improve the quality. That's the criteria for making an improvement. And you took those tools and you just apply them consistently, and it's very easy for you.
Yeah, and like mostly I think the most effective thing like out in the real world, everybody wants to do something faster. They don't really focus on safer or better in quality even sometimes.
Right.
Which
Or
is,
simpler too, for that matter.
Yeah. So they even like simpler and faster, they kind of go hand in hand. If it's like simpler, it's gonna be fast.
Right.
So it's like we just ended up like just going through everything, like just everywhere you go. You just
And
kinda,
they ate it up.
Yep. They loved it.
They ate it up because of you, because of your passion.
Yeah, I guess so.
Great
I just
job.
kept talking and putting them to sleep, but they just wouldn't fall asleep because lean is so interesting. I thought you would love this.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
You're incredible. That is a great story. Thank you.
Yeah.